Hello, this is Master of Flowers coming to you from the Magic Theater Recording Studio. I am here to give you a public warning of danger. What this means is if you are a songwriter and you copyright your songs, the minute that you do so, you are not protected in the way that you think you are. You are putting yourself in danger. Now, I always thought that the copyright was to protect somebody's rights, their property values, their intellectual property values. But this is not true. The only possible good that a copyright does is it situates your ownership at a timeline and locks it into a specific date so that anybody that comes after that and claims to have written that song and they apply for a copyright, your copyright would take precedence. And in addition to that, you would still have to take them to court, which means instead of being in the studio writing new songs, what would be happening is that you would have to take those bad guys to court in order to prove your case and then get a settlement, which means you're out time, you're out money, and you're spending all that time and effort when you could be in the studio creating more music. So to me, the copyright isn't worth a damn. Now, here's the warning. The minute you file for a copyright, it'll take roughly a year to get it processed. At least that's what it took for a collection of collected works, volume 1 for me, of a collection of 20 CDs, and it took right out about a year. When I got it back, I immediately began to receive in the mail a little something called Notice of Intent to Obtain a Compulsory License for Making and Distributing Phonorecords. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. Okay, here we go. At the top, you have a number, and this is a document from Spotify USA, and it gives some kind of a number at the top, like 494251-3070. Underneath that, it says, Notice of Intent to Obtain a Compulsory License for Making and Distributing Phonorecords. The licensee is named as Spotify USA, 45 West 18th Street, New York, New York, 10011 USA. The president of Spotify for USA is Daniel Ek, E-K. Underneath that, they show the fiscal year that they intend to do this. And it goes January 1 to December 31st. Okay, the phonorecord configuration is just doesn't really have anything to say there, so you don't know if they're pressing vinyls or CDs or just some sort of a digital download. It does not specify, so that's useless. Now, here's one important thing. Expected date of distribution, in this case, May 31st, 2018. I usually receive these notices after that date, which means that it has already been distributed. But here's where the rub comes in. They don't tell you how many copies that they're going to distribute. Now, there's a price for them obtaining a compulsory license, and I'll give you an example. 1 3-minute song and distributing 10,000 copies, which would be a small amount, would equal $910 royalty fee that's due. Now, it's widely known that if the artist contacted you personally, instead of going this route, they could negotiate that price down to a third or less of what they're having to pay at the $910 level. Now, let's suppose instead of a 3-minute song, it's a 6-minute song. Now it's $1,820 instead of $910. Or let's suppose they're going to press out 20,000 copies instead of 10,000. That too would double the amount. And if you double the amount, and you double the time on the song, that would be 400% more than the $910 owed. But they do not do anything about any kind of accounting to let you know how many copies are going to be done or anything like that. And then there's a signature down underneath that of a licensee. In this case, it says Adam Parnas. Well, I have seen places on the internet that have talked about a lawsuit and an investigation going against Harry Fox Agency. And what it's about is that these licensees that are signing it, in this case Adam Parnas, may or may not work for the company at the time that these compulsory license or notice of intent to obtain a compulsory license are mailed out. Once these are mailed out, nothing ever happens. You never see a check. You never get any kind of an accounting for anything. But if you search on the internet, you'll find your songs are blatantly stolen. They're posted for sale on numerous sites, and they claim them as an original work. Now, this to me is a total breach of the intent of the Office of Copyright to protect a person from those things. Now let's look at the compulsory license requirements. Normally, in order for someone to reproduce, perform, and distribute a copyrighted work, permission must be obtained from the copyright owner. However, in a few circumstances known as compulsory licenses, a copyright owner's permission is not required, provided that the user follows certain rules and pays fees set by law. Such compulsory licenses are commonly used by satellite TV providers, cable providers, webcasters, and music companies. One of the most common uses of a compulsory license is in the music industry. Once a song has been recorded and distributed to the public on recordings, any person or group is entitled to record and distribute the song without obtaining the copyright owner's consent, provided they pay a fee and meet copyright law requirements. In order to take advantage of this compulsory license, a notice must be sent to the copyright owner called Notice of Intent to Obtain a Compulsory License for Making and Distributing Phono Records. And they have to pay a fee set forth by those requirements. And that would be known as a statutory fee or statutory rate. And there's a scale for that. However, the Copyright Office, in effect, has opened up a backdoor legal loophole to stealing your music, because you are not protected from anything except if you get an attorney, pay a huge amount of money, waste a great deal amount of time to protect your rights, and go ahead and get justice that way. The Copyright Office will do nothing to protect you other than that. So to make a long story short, what I want to tell you is if you file for copyright on your music, the chances of it being stolen are extremely likely. And the Copyright Office does not hold any of those licensees from either Spotify or the Harry Fox Agency in New York City responsible or accountable in any way, shape, or form, because I have had 57 songs stolen from me by those people. And the only thing I can tell you about that is I have notified the Copyright Office dozens of times that there's a scam going on and that I'm not being paid, and they do not reply at all. I hold the Copyright Office totally responsible for this, because the compulsory license should not apply to individual people who wrote songs and have been scammed by the Harry Fox Agency and Spotify to steal your songs without paying royalties or anything. And I have my songs scattered all over the internet from 20 different artists out of 20 different recording studios all over the world, posting on all kinds of sites like iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, you name it, any big music site. They're posting my songs, and the artists that are stealing and doing my songs and distributing them for sale are not going to pay you one dime. And they're going to get away with it because what are you going to do? Are you going to go to Belgium this week and drag them into court and sue them, and then go over to Norway to another one and take them into court and sue them? You'd be traveling all over the world suing and suing and suing. And instead of being in the recording studio doing your thing, you'd be spending your life in a legal system that is just as crooked as a dog's hind leg. And I hold the Office of Copyright totally responsible for this because I have notified them countless times that fraud has been going on. And you can't tell me that when they serve you with a compulsory notice of intent to obtain a compulsory license and they take 57 songs from you, you can't tell me that it is a mistake that you haven't been paid. They may make an excuse saying, oh, well, the artist isn't obligated to go ahead and record it and distribute it. It's just a compulsory license to allow them to do so. But if you find your songs all over the whole world on different music sites claiming them to be an original work, then it is absolute total fraud. And because the Office of Copyright does nothing to combat this blatant thievery on a grand scale that affects millions of songwriters, millions and millions of copyrights, there's something wrong and it needs to be changed. I would urge you to write your congressmen, your senators, anything associated with the Copyright Office, and make complaints. Go mail them all your complaints until they have to get their own zip code to handle it work. Make changes in the law. Do something. Make some noise. Thank you for your time.